fusion power, truly intelligent AI by 2028. That's the bold prediction we're diving into today.
Bold is an understatement, maybe. But hey, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
To unpack these big ideas.
Exactly. And the source material we're digging into, it's called the 2028 Leap. And let me tell you, it doesn't shy away from the big picture.
Limitless clean energy, AI that can solve problems as well as humans, maybe even better. It's exciting, it's daunting, it's a lot to unpack.
It really is. And that's our mission today. We're not just talking about cool futuristic tech. We're looking at the potential societal transformations, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So buckle up.
Let's do it.
This article, the 2028 Leap, it really throws down the gauntlet, doesn't it? I mean, fusion power and AGI both becoming a reality within this decade. It almost sounds too good to be true.
Almost is the key word there, right? We have to ground ourselves in some realism. But what's fascinating here is this convergence of two huge technological leaps happening at basically the same time.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so worth exploring. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's make sure everyone's on the same page. What exactly are fusion power and AGI?
Right, because these terms get thrown around a lot. So fusion power, in the simplest terms, is basically harnessing the power of the sun here on Earth. It's about creating energy by fusing atoms together, which releases a tremendous amount of energy. And it's clean, nearly limitless. It's been the holy grail of energy for decades.
The holy grail is right. And then on the AI side, we have AGI, or artificial general intelligence, emerging. And that's not just, smarter algorithms or more sophisticated voice assistants. This is about intelligence that rivals our own. The article describes AGI as potentially being able to understand, learn, and apply knowledge like humans, maybe even better.
And that's where things get really interesting. We're not just talking about AI that can beat us at chess or write a passable poem. We're talking about AI that could potentially design a building, write a symphony, or even discover new scientific principles.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a bit. This article points to 2028 as this pivotal year. They highlight Helion Energy's recent fusion breakthrough as potentially a game changer. What makes their approach different?
Well, achieving commercially viable fusion power has been a scientific pursuit for, forever. It seems like we're always on the verge of a breakthrough, but...
Right, it always seems a decade away.
Exactly. But Helion, they're using a method called magnetized target fusion, which they believe can overcome the issues that have plagued past attempts. Things like the incredible heat and pressure involved.
And the containment issue, right? Keeping that reaction going.
Exactly. It's like trying to hold a miniature sun in a bottle. But if Helion cracks the code, if they can make it commercially viable, well, it could revolutionize energy production as we know it.
No more fossil fuels, imagine that.
Yeah.
And happening around the same time, potentially, we have AGI coming onto the scene. The article dives into how this new form of AI will be fundamentally different from the AI we interact with today. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely. See, most of the AI we experience now, it's narrow or specialized AI. It's great at specific tasks, like, say, playing Go or filtering spam emails, but it can't really think outside its programming. AGI, though, it's about replicating the broad, adaptable intelligence that humans have.
So it's not just about being good at one thing. It's about being able to learn and adapt and apply knowledge across different areas, like a human can.
Precisely. AGI could potentially jump from designing a bridge one minute to composing a symphony the next, all while learning and improving with each task. It's been both exciting and, to be honest, a little intimidating.
It definitely makes you think about, what it means to be human, what our role in the world will be. Okay, so the article then lays out this timeline of how fusion power and AGI working together could completely transform the world. They paint this picture of cheaper energy leading to new technologies, maybe even tackling issues like poverty and resource scarcity. It almost sounds too optimistic, doesn't it? Like something out of Star Trek.
It does sound incredibly optimistic. I think it's healthy to approach these kinds of predictions with a dose of skepticism.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to recognize the potential here. If, and that's a big if, but if AGI can help us unlock and optimize fusion power, the ripple effect could be absolutely massive.
So how does that actually play out? What would this fusion-AGI synergy look like in the real world?
Well, imagine AGI designing incredibly efficient fusion reactors or managing entire power grids, optimizing for sustainability and cost effectiveness.
And with that abundance of energy, we could finally tackle some of the big challenges facing humanity.
Exactly. We could potentially desalinate water on a massive scale, providing clean water to everyone. We could power vertical farms, reducing our reliance on traditional agriculture and its environmental impact.
Wow. Okay, so let's bring this down to earth a bit. What does all this mean for the average person? What would life be like in this transformed society?
Well, the article speculates about things like significantly reduced work weeks, thanks to automation. People would have more time for leisure, for creative pursuits, for lifelong learning.
And potentially longer, healthier lifespans. The article mentions breakthroughs in medicine, all powered by AGI and cheap energy.
Imagine a world where diseases are diagnosed and treated with incredible speed and accuracy, where personalized medicine becomes the norm.
It really does sound like something out of Star Trek, doesn't it? A future where technology solves all our problems.
It's tempting to get swept up in the utopian vision, and I do think there's a lot of potential for good here. But, and this is crucial, we also need to consider the potential downsides.
Absolutely. What could go wrong, right?
Right.
We can't just ignore the potential pitfalls.
Exactly. What happens to jobs and industries that become automated? How do we ensure equitable access to these advancements? And perhaps most importantly, how do we develop and govern AGI responsibly? How do we make sure it aligns with our values and doesn't pose a threat to humanity?
Those are all critical questions. We can't just assume that technological advancement automatically equals a better future. We have to be mindful of the potential consequences and work to mitigate them.
Precisely. It's like any powerful tool can be used for good or for ill. We need to be very thoughtful about how we develop and utilize these technologies.
And that brings us to the final part of our deep dive. Because the article doesn't stop at 2040. It goes even further, hinting at things like interplanetary travel, a world without energy scarcity, basically a whole new era for humanity.
Right, almost a new civilization, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's most compelling about this long-term vision is the idea of abundance. And not just material abundance, but an abundance of knowledge, of potential, of possibilities.
No more fighting over scarce resources, no more limitations on what we can achieve. It's almost overwhelming to think about.
It really is. But it's also incredibly exciting. If we can navigate these next few decades responsibly, if we can harness these technologies for the betterment of humanity, the future could be brighter than we ever imagined.
A future powered by the stars, aided by super-intelligent machines, all while grappling with the fundamental question of what it means to be human in this rapidly changing world.
It's a future full of both immense promise and significant challenges.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about, that's for sure. But it all boils down to one question. If this future unfolds, as described in this article, what role will you play in shaping it?
What excites you most about this potential future? And what concerns you? These are questions worth pondering as we continue to explore the frontiers of technology and their impact on our lives.
So keep those questions in mind as you continue to learn, to explore, and to engage with these complex and fascinating topics.